Hi guys, everyone. I'm here, my friend Matt, to explain what's going on and why I do the things I do with my crazy life. Um, like I said, like always, I'm gonna wait till some of you get in here. That way, I can just talk about everything, and you guys can then ask me the questions that I know that many of you have been asking me over and over again about why. That's the most frequent question. Another frequent question that I get is why don't I just don't think about it? Why do I keep talking about it? What good has it done me? Those are the most frequent things that I will continue to answer. And I will also continue to hopefully bring everybody a little bit of peace of mind at the end of it all. Um, um, so if you're here, say hi. Let me know over there. This is a questions and answers, as well as me explaining myself on a bunch of things. So feel free to go over there in that little bar and type away, and I will try to go from top to bottom on your questions and give answers. So, like I said, just leave me a little comment over there, and I will get to you as soon as possible. Still waiting on for a little bit more people. Anything saying that? No, you're just here chilling? Here for the behind the scenes look, which according to Matt is very interesting. So I just tagged a whole bunch of you on the post link to get here on Facebook. I probably will start having my phone blow up. So basically, while we're sitting around waiting for everybody to get here, leave that comment. Tell me you're here. Tell me your name. And hopefully we can get to the bottom of all the things that you guys have been asking me why being the main part. why I do what I do, why I say what I say, why I carry myself the way I carry myself. It is um, it is this time for you guys to sit here and ask me anything that is on your mind about this silent battle that's been going on that is very taboo and not talked about. Um, it's very taboo to talk about medical stuff. A lot of people just want to keep it silent and keep it to themselves, but in reality, if you're suffering, there has to be somebody else out there suffering the way you are. So I would think that that would be enough to just let people know across the world that they're not alone in suffering. Like I said, leave a comment for me on the YouTube Live. Let me know you're here. Um, so I am probably going to get started here shortly. Um, so now that I have 4 of you, that's good enough for me to start. Happy 4. So, like I said, Matt is here for behind the scenes support, whichever you want to be. Here for both. For both. Matt's a very good friend. I've known him since high school. We go back quite a bit. So let's get into the first thing. The first thing being that this what I have, isn't a common thing. It's not a well-known thing. It's not something that somebody can just go out and read about. They can't just simply fix. There is no simple fix. There is no simple cure-all medication for this. This is one of those things where it's very person by person, trial and error. And with that being said, even though it does have a clinical name, sort of, it actually enters the area where, like I said, people don't think about it. So all of these things that I have that come together and they line up. They don't line up perfectly. There is no perfect diagnosis. There is no, perfect case. There is a standard of what it should be, what it should look like, the symptoms they should have, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be that way for everybody. My case is very particular, very rare. So with that being said, when I first started having these issues, whether it was with the PCOS or the connective tissue disease, which is my autoimmune disease, or if it was with my pseudotumor cerebrae and everything else, I looked for videos. I looked for people like me, and I found no one. I originally found nothing to prepare me for what I was about to go through. Um, However, I did find somebody with a similar disease. It's called hydrocephalus. It's like the cousin to pseudotumor. Um, and his name was Luke. And I happened to track Luke down. And Luke really eased my mind on what I was going through. And after I thought about all of this in front of me, and I remember how interesting it was to track Luke down from a YouTube video, I realized that there might be people out there who are looking for guides, like I did, for comfort, for a friend, for somebody to just get what they're going through. And with everything being as taboo as it is to talk about medical problems, there was just dead silence across the board. So I decided there and then that I was going to be the one to stand up for those who are like me and they need somebody, but they're not going to say it because it's too taboo. It's too out of the norm. People don't want to know that you're sick. You want people to think that you're strong, that you're not weak, because if you're sick, society views you as weak. In reality, those who suffer these things are stronger than most. We go through everything from pain to sickness to inability to really think straight, and yet we do these daily tasks that we have to be a human. And it takes so much more out of us than it would somebody who wasn't sick at all. So we look for these people to look up to, like me, like Luke, like anybody else suffering, because we want to know that we are not alone. And I finally want to get this taboo out here to let everybody who's watching know that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to look for somebody who is like you know, and it's okay to sit there and say, you know, I hurt too bad today, or I'm too sick today, or I can't do this today. I can't focus much today. It's a hard thing to comprehend when people who aren't sick get so demanding. So the time that you spend with a person, you should value it. Um, and really, because I know that I don't look sick, and people forget that I can't really go out in sunlight because it makes me sick. People forget that I've been through 2 brain surgeries already. People forget that I have fibromyalgia and everything hurts me. People don't think about these things. But if it means that one less person is alone and that finally there isn't radio silence, that they can see a video where somebody like them is here talking about it, they might feel more comfortable, less alone, less likely to be depressed. So, really, I just want people to understand that this is why I'm doing it. I'm standing for those people who won't stand for themselves because everybody needs to see somebody who has something like them. You know, children who have fathers in the military look up to their fathers in the military, and sometimes they go into the military. You know, they just relate, it clicks. Um, so having somebody to be there for you through this all, knowing that it's going to be a rough ride, and feeling what you're feeling, and going what you're going through, and fighting those battles that you're fighting, and still not giving up, it's a blessing to see. You know, it's something that literally hits you in the heart more than anything else. I never thought once about what it would be like if somebody would be there, because I didn't find anybody there. And instantly, after I tracked Luke down, I instantly came up with the idea that this is what needs to happen so somebody could see this. Anybody. So that is the why that people have been wondering about the most. Because it's not right for people to be alone and for people to feel it's taboo that they're not strong. You're strong. You're going through pain every day and not giving up. You are strong. If you're sick every day and you're still getting up off that bathroom floor, you're strong. If you're literally in bed because you can't move because you're in so much pain, if you're doing anything, even normal, you're strong. This taboo around sickness, that it shouldn't be talked about, that it should just go away, and if you don't think about it, it will go away. It doesn't. This does not end at just, if I put it out of my mind, it'll stop. You can tell yourself that you're going to get better. You can have hopes that you're going to get better. You can push forward and make plans like you're going to get better. But you have to realize that those days will never fall in place like you think they will if you have something like I do. You can expect to do one thing one day, and then you can't really get out of bed that day. And that's okay. But that person, because it's a taboo, doesn't really understand. See, if they were your friend, they would try to understand, even though it's a taboo and not talked about. You know, there's so much bad talk about being sick and being weak. I don't view anybody who is sick as weak. You know, they're trying the best they can with what they have, and they're living their life as much as they can with what they have. And it's the not giving up part that I really want people to understand, that it takes everything in people like me to have hope still, to still want to help people, even though we don't have much, to still want to be there for people, even though we're going through our worst day. I literally want to hear people like me stand up because they feel like they're not alone anymore. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's everything that I have been through. I want them to know that it's okay to be sick, to stand up because you're sick, to know that it's okay to literally just talk about it with anybody. You don't have to be alone. And if somebody tracked me down, like I tracked Luke down, I would be happy. I would be thrilled, because being alone is something that nobody should ever feel. So there is the main reason why. Um, and I covered the if you just put it past you, because there is no just putting it past you. Don't think about it. It doesn't mean that what you've been through is going to go away because you just don't think about it. Um, there are many, many things that a person will go through in their lifetime. And whether it's you're sick, if you're going through surgery, if you've been in a car accident and you're having flashbacks, if you have been deployed and you're having flashbacks, if you're getting a divorce even, which can be traumatic, you're having flashbacks. It's honestly, it's okay. You know, I felt it was stupid to have flashbacks for going through a traumatic event. But talking to a friend of mine made me realize that it's not stupid, and what I've been through has been traumatic, and it is probably never going to stop. But you have to find a way to live with that. And honestly, trying to find a way to live with that is the most complicated part. But it doesn't mean you're any less of a fighter or a warrior or anything like that. It just means that you have to find a way on your own. And some people like getting help, other people don't. Some people will say, yes, medication fixes everything. And then there are others that say, well, medication isn't always the answer. You know, every step that you take personally for you can't be wrong because you're doing it for yourself. And it's really just helping yourself and letting others know at the same time. And I understand things can be embarrassing. It can be embarrassing if you have, I won't really say a mental problem, but a disorder like bipolar disorder. It can be hard to talk about that. It can be hard to let somebody know if you have bipolar disorder. I can see how it could be embarrassing, or you could think that it would be embarrassing. I could see how you would think that it would be a problem at your job and everywhere else, you know, but know that that's still okay to talk about. And again, there should be no taboos. Nothing should ever, nothing should ever um, stop you from talking about that with anybody. Hey, Snow, that is my friend Matt. I've known him since high school. Snow says, "How you doing, beautiful?"
Better than ever.
Better than
After
ever.
that comment.
Okay, so Snow, this is a question and answer. So you can ask me anything about what I've been through, why people think, or what you think about what I'm doing, or why. So again, if you're commenting in the chat on YouTube, I know it's a little harder than normal, but it's there, and I will answer your questions. Even if they're like, how do you get through your days? I can tell that. How do you cope with this thing? I can tell that. All right, Snow, what's your question? Fire away. Right up there. Hundreds of ones, but the first one I want to ask is what, Snow? Okay, well, type it in smaller amounts, I guess. And I am checking my Facebook messages because I know that a lot of you have said that this is difficult to use. So message me a question instead. I promise I'm paying attention to you guys. I am just checking these. It's all right that you can't chat on here, Lorinda. It's kind of difficult. I've been told that it's not so easy, but I'm hoping that it could be getting used to, maybe. So that's out there. Um, yeah. Okay, so my friend Josh Bowden said they have to go onto YouTube itself and comment using the Facebook link will not let you comment. So you actually have to go to my YouTube channel that I posted prior to the link to the just viewing. Okay, Snow said a question 1. Does the hole that they put in there to do the shunt, will that ever heal before, or will there be a missing skull piece for the rest of your life? All right, so let's just flip everything over and go all the way over here. So here is my scar. And right here, where my finger is a circle that goes around like this. It's a burr hole. That'll never heal. That will be there for the rest of my life. It is just there and something that I deal with because that's where they would have put the thing into my brain. I'm sorry, my brain is foggy. Catheter. That they would put the catheter into my brain, and it would go into that center cavity where the fluid is. It's a little difficult to remember everything when your brain's foggy. There's a lot of pressure going on today. All right, Snow, fire away. If anybody else has a question, you can message me personally on Facebook or just try to use the comment system. So is it a soft spot forever? Yes, it is a soft spot forever, as far as I am aware. So that is going to be there forever. If you poke my head, you can feel it forever. Your lateral ventricle is where your valve is placed in your brain. Thank you for reminding me because I have a terrible foggy brain right now. Me and my soft spots. Well, Bode, I have many of those. Pets are one of them. All right, so Snow, while you're typing question 2, I will answer Matt's question. What's something you find to be the most difficult to cope with in your daily routine? Okay, so in my daily routine, the thing that I find most difficult to cope with, I'd have to say as a person, in the morning, I have to have about an hour to myself at least to get mentally prepared for the day. So I'll lay there and I'll mentally prep myself to get up out of bed. And I'll be like, it's going to hurt, but you have to get up. You have to let the dogs out. You have to walk down those stairs. You have to go get something to drink, eat food. So it's more of like a reminder to myself that all the things that I have to do, even though it's going to hurt, but I remind myself to just kind of like suck it up and do it because nobody's going to do it for me. And the hurting part comes from the fibromyalgia. where I just don't want to move some days. So that's basically the hardest part, is when you open your eyes and it's instant pain and you just know. You know that it's going to be a bad day. So in that bad day routine, that hour where you're kicking your own ass is pretty much the hardest. All right, Snow, hit me with your question. Oh, that was a very good question, Matt. I try. Does fiber micro abacrobi and finch, does it what? Does it what though? Okay, I got you. Does micro I can't even read that right. Does fibromyalgia hurt out of nowhere, or is there a warning sign for it? Unfortunately, there is no warning sign. Your brain doesn't randomly scream, "I'm gonna hurt you now." Uh, it kind of just happens. So it'll literally be like you open your eyes in the morning and your brain is firing everything so rapidly, like to like wake you up, that you'll just feel it. There's no warning signs. You don't begin to ache slowly. It just hits you like a brick wall. So you could be doing everything and having a good day, and then all of a sudden, like that, it just slams you and everything begins to hurt. So it's kind of like you need to be aware and careful at the same time of everything that you're doing. When my fibromyalgia acts up, picking up a gallon of milk kills me. It hurts so bad. And normally that shouldn't. So it's like a period, but more ruthless. I would say it's 10 times, million times worse than a period. I mean, it does throw you down a hill and into a blender, but the pain that fibromyalgia gives you is so different than any other pain that I have felt. It's like I have known the pain of infection, and I have known the pain of like my head condition, um, pseudotumor, and I've known what PCOS causes when you get a cyst on your ovary. So I have known from sharp to dull pains, but fibromyalgia is like a million needles sticking into you at once when you touch something, or if something touches you. So like this chair, it's touching me. It feels like a million needles. I take a medication for it. I take gabapentin, and I take Cymbalta, because that also does for nerve pain. And that allows me to kind of manage it, kind of like deal with it. It brings my pain down to a 7, where I can live at a 7 out of 10. How long does fibromyalgia hurt for? Does it pass quickly, or does it settle for an hour's time? It doesn't stop hurting. That's the thing. There is no, it comes on and then it leaves. it never stops hurting. It's just what days do you hurt worse? So on those days that you hurt worse, you pray for the days that you hurt less. And on the days that you hurt less, you pray for a good day where you may not hurt at all. It is what it is. Let's see. Holy shit, that's terrible. Yes, it is terrible, and I would not wish it on anybody. It is a level of suffering that I would say could be torture if the CIA could put it into somebody. Matt, if you have a question, you don't have to type it, you can answer. You can just.
I'm better with my words than type.
Better with your word? Okay, type away. Yes, it is all around the clock, which is why it can be hard for me to sleep and eat. And it can be difficult. It could be difficult to manage normal daily life things because it hurts bad. Yes, yes, I will always be the Queen of Fairies. So there's that. Any other questions? Question 3. Do you have PTSD, and if so, how do you manage it so you can be socially acceptable in public? All right, this one's a hard one because it's one of the things that I don't really talk about, but I have lately. If you saw my last YouTube live, I talked about I've talked about the surgery that I went through, the emergency surgery, and how bad that was. And you guys saw photos of exactly how difficult it was for me. And I reminded you throughout the process that I went through that without any pain management. And going through that without pain management wrecked me. I feel like that is what caused my what would be called PTSD. And so I take those flashbacks and I wake up from sleep because I had a flashback dream of what happened, that I woke up holding my stomach. And I remember the feel of the infection coming out of me, and I remember the burning, searing pain of the infection. And it's like when that flashback hits, it's like you're in the moment, and nothing stops that. You can't just snap out of it. It's not something that you can just not think about and it won't happen. This is something that is going to stay with you, unfortunately. And for me, I'm trying to find a way to cope with it since it is so fresh still, that I have just gotten through the worst bit of it. And by bit of it, I mean the surgery. So night terrors, if I'm understanding this correctly, yes. Night terrors, but they are flashbacks. So you wake up from night terrors, night sweats. I've soaked through blankets and sheets and my pajamas and my pillow. I've literally had to go take my mom to the hospital, and I had flashback when they hung an antibiotic through IV up, and I just that image, that trigger, sent my mind into chaos. And what I did next was I put headphones on and I turned up music so loud to where I could hear it, even through the flashback. You know, each and every person will find a different way to cope. And in the moment out in public, I found music calms my shaking. It calms my breaking down. But I will tell you that each person copes differently, and you may break down or you may not. You may have flashbacks, and that just bothers you so much that it causes you to be emotionally unstable, but you may not break down. Each person will cope with this differently. For me, like I said, in public, I use music, and the traumaticness of the event that you have gone through will stay with you. There is no just looking the other way and hoping it will go away. It's just trying to find out what will help you to stop you from breaking down, and while remembering this terrible traumatic event that is just flashing through your head. So, what's harder on you? Actually being sick, or how people see and treat you because you're sick? That's a difficult one, because being sick um, could make you feel useless, especially if you're like me, where you have so many things piled on top of each other that allow you to only do so much. So that could make you feel useless. But I would have to say the worst part would be when people view you as sick, as weak, because they view it as that taboo that we were talking about earlier. They want to walk on eggshells around you and treat you differently, like you can't cope with things or handle things. And that just makes the situation worse. You know, if you have a person who is chronically ill and they're going to deal with it for the rest of their lives, don't baby talk them. Don't treat them like they're an infant. Don't treat them like they're useless. All we want is to feel like we can do something, like we're useful. So I suggest that if there is a person out there like me and you know them, um, don't baby talk them. Understand that they're going to have bad days. Understand that they're going to have good days. And really just try to work with them, because I guarantee you, if they're your friend, they do want to see you and they do want to hang out, but it's just that they can't. Matt with the important questions. Yeah, Matt is really spot on with his questions. I will say that. Are there any other questions? Um, Snow, you got any more for me? So treat them like they're a person no different than any other, aside from compensating for their unfortunate shortcomings. Yes, that is correct. Treat them like they're a person and appreciate who they are, because they were your friends before and they're still your friends after. If it is something that has just come on suddenly, like my autoimmune disease back in 2015, then they're going to want and expect you to treat them the same. All right, Snow, fire away. Yeah, it has been that long. It's insane. Can't believe it's been since 2015.
No, I mean, thinking about it, it makes sense. I remember going to see you in the hospital, but
Yeah,
I
it's
believe it's been 3 years. Going on 4. Remember I came to visit you like the day after you got the butterfly rash.
yeah, that was the worst when I had the butterfly rash. That was the most, I want to say, at first embarrassing form of my sickness was the butterfly rash when it came across my face all the way over here. Um, I didn't know what to do at that point. So, not knowing what to do at that point, it was quite difficult. Okay, so given your difficult situation, do you still aspire or dream of things that you want to do before you kick the bucket? And how does your current situation affect or influence that? Um, the butterfly rash isn't all that you think it is. It's much worse looking than you. It's pretty brutal looking, actually, to be honest. It takes no prisoners. So the butterfly rash, let me pull up a photo really quick for you guys. From back in 2015. At its most brutal state, it did this to me. And that is a classic lupus rash. So, yeah, it's not what you think at all. It's the butterfly rash actually got named in lupus, lupe being wolf. The rash represents if a wolf were to bite you and what it would look like if it went after your face, and it would go after right here. So that's just a quick fact for that. Um, that rash is part of my autoimmune disease that came out in 2015. I get it everywhere, all over my hands. It feels like my body's being burnt alive. It will engulf my entire body within 15 seconds, and it may not end for about, I don't know, maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days, or maybe it'll end in the next minute or 2 minutes and kind of go away. There is no real knowing when that rash is going to come on and when it's not. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh shoot, I have a rash. And to be quite fair, my hands have quite a bit of it that's going on now, like right there and in towards the kind of like knuckle area. So, do I aspire things still and dream things still? Yes, I still aspire things. Um, there are things that I still want to do before I kick the bucket. I'm still going to travel. Um, with my condition, that would mean that I'd have to play it safer. So I'll wear a face mask in public and on a plane or on a train or on a bus. I will, not go into cities maybe, but I never aspired really to go into a city. My aspirations have always been to go to the mountains, um, hike a mountain, go to cities that are not necessarily touristy cities. Go to those cities who are where you'll find the most culture. So if you go to Germany, instead of going to Ramstein or Frankfurt, go to a smaller city, like a small town like Dusseldorf. Go to places that aren't well known and really observe their culture. That's what I aspire to do. I really, really want to travel and see the culture and understand the people, the why they do things the way they do, and the way that they do it. For me, that's been one of my biggest aspirations since I lived in Germany. I really got a cultural heading on how different things could be from the United States. And it was absolutely the most eye-opening, wonderful thing that could have ever happened to me. So, no matter what I go through and how much pain that I'm in, I am one stubborn person. I will not let it stop me. Um, my pain is probably at a 9, but I'm here because I want people to know still. I'm very stubborn. It is very difficult for me to tell somebody no, especially if I really want to do it, even knowing that I'm sick. So like I've been sick with a fever and everything um, involving that. So sweats and just coughing, and my throat felt like glass. And but that was because I went out and I wanted to go out. So do I let it stop me? No, but there are days where it is more difficult. I just plan it again. So for me, it's like try again. I kind of won't let anything get in my way, to be fair. Unless the exception. I will not risk my life more than it needs to be. So I will not and cannot work in the medical field, be around sick people. That makes me sick. Although that's what I wanted to do the most, with my disease hitting me, autoimmune disease hitting me, I realized that if I go back, there's a chance my body will shut down again. And I refuse to put everybody that I love and care about through that mental trauma state, and I refuse to put myself through that again. I know being around sick people makes me sick. So I am unwilling to put myself through that risk. Stubborn people are the hardest to die because they're like a rock and their mother going anywhere, which is why I kind of don't fret so much over what befalls you because you're strong. I try to be strong. That is my goal. My hope, going through so much, you either stand and fight it or you cower and let it defeat you. Beautiful and compassionate. I'm sure you'll be here longer than me, you wonderful little thing. That really means a lot to me, Snow. Yeah, I am very stubborn. I am very unwilling to take the hint, and I will admit there are days where I can't do things. I will try, and I will hurt bad, and I will continue to try, and I'll still hurt bad, and then I'll get to the point where I'll finally give up and say, it's one of those things. So, one of the quotes that I was just sent by a good friend says, "Behind every beautiful thing, there's been some kind of pain." There is truth to this quote. Um, yeah, there is truth to this quote. And actually, I can agree with that. There will be, and always will be, pain behind everything that you admire. Those athletes that made it big, there is pain there, and sweat, and blood, and tears. So, everything beautiful, whether it's sports or everything else, there's pain behind. Okay. Which is okay. Everyone has their off days. I have a question about that. All right, Snow, fire away. You just casually sitting there
Listening.
listening.
Always interested to hear your lives.
They're interesting. I can't really they're more interesting than anything actually because the most interesting thing about it is people ask things that you would have never thought of. And that's a good thing because that gets me thinking and it's a topic that we can approach. But there probably will be a vlog video up soon on my channel, just warning you guys. It will be just probably a daily life thing and what I'm going through at that moment. Which giggling in the background. Your short oh my god. Your shirt is savage. Legit. Um Snow, are you still trying to type your question or are you just disappeared? Did you fall asleep? Oh no, it's still there. Very true, pain forges what it doesn't kill into a blade stronger than anything that fell before it, though it makes me wonder the question I have about that is given your situation, is living alone an option that you can viably do not today but eventually? Living alone is something that I can do. I think for me, living alone would be kind of like one of those things where if I just hurt and I probably would look at the gallon of milk and say screw it and pick it up anyways or just leave it be and not use it and just eat something else or drink something else. So it's like one of those things where I can do almost everything a normal person can do within the house Um, just sleep may not be a thing for me, which sleeping and me, we go on a tango like every night. It's whether I do sleep or whether I don't sleep. It's kind of like one of those questions I ask every time I lay down and I notice that I hurt a little bit. I'm like, am I going to sleep or not? So living alone, it's an option. It's an option I hope to achieve. I am on pain management for my pain, so if the pain gets too bad, I can take a pain medication. I don't like pain medication. I prefer not to take it. I've been known to pass out 2 or 3 times before I actually go for my pain medication, which people will view as stupid, but in my opinion, it's just how I am. Any other questions that you feel like people may want to ask that maybe haven't spoken up? Maybe something that you didn't know that you want to know? Um, maybe anything that you feel like somebody out there like me would say to take the step. Yeah, would say to take the step to actually contact me. What do you think, or how do you feel about something like me that I have? How would you feel if somebody treated you like you were a sick person and you had no precedence, nowhere else to go, no one to listen to you, nobody to stand up before you and say, I have this. Listen, I am here. Okay, so thinking is not always a good thing. Alyssa knows as well as I do, thinking can be deadly. Overthinking can be deadly. Good job, Snow. You said it right. Overthinking can be deadly. You just got to figure out how to manage it. Let's see. The Viking said, do you have hope that one day your condition will get better or be cured? Well, I'm doing what it takes to cure at least one of my conditions, and that is my pseudotumor. If I get another shunt placed in, and that's managing the flow of the cerebral spinal fluid, then that is technically, by medical technicality, cured. So I'm taking those steps to cure at least one of my um, diseases or conditions. Do I have hope for the other ones that one day they may be cured or get better? I do. I always have hope, and I think it's a good thing to carry that hope, but don't get your hopes up. Don't hang on a thread waiting for that cure. Go out and live your life and just don't live by that condition. They're getting close in Alyssa's situation, at least make it very manageable, but curing it, that's sadly so many years off. You were right, it is a long time away. Um, I've seen and I stay up with the medical journals and I look through the breakthrough things all the time and I continually check and watch to see if there's any new breakthroughs and any way that they could help. Um, they're learning more and more every day. Um, it's their jobs too. So it's a matter of time before anybody makes a breakthrough in any medical problem. Not sure if it's been spoken about, however, I am right in saying that your family are a large factor in the road to normally to supportive or not. Oh, normality. Sorry, my dyslexia is like bleh. So my family isn't the healthiest. We have medical problems through the roof. Um, as of normality, if you're taken to the emergency room, unfortunately for my family, it's just another week. It literally it's so ridiculous. It feels like my family never catches a break. So, on the normality scale, for my family having conditions like this, like my mom has moya moya, it shuts down the veins and arteries in her brain and closes off the blood flow. She's had 2 brain surgeries that revascularize the brain to get blood flow. So they moved her temporalis muscle up and her temporal vein up or artery up to her brain to supply the blood so that her brain could get the blood and she wouldn't die. These were surgeries that she needed, and it was kind of a big hit when we figured this out. So, on normality scale, I want to say for my family, having a medical issue is normal. Um, But just because you have a medical issue and your family has medical issues, it doesn't mean that they're always going to be supportive. I know that I'm very, very happy that I have the support. But being somebody who realizes everything that's happened, I don't exactly expect people to stay in my life. I've had many people walk away from me because they couldn't handle everything laid out in front of them. And in that case, I've literally just looked at them and I've said, you don't have to stay, you can go. If you stay, this is what's going to happen. I'm warning you now, type of thing. So it's kind of like either understand this now and don't run later, or run now and never know what you might have missed. So let's see. Question 5 from Snow. He thinks. Fibromyalgia, Snow. Fibromyalgia. So with my fibromyalgia and current illnesses, can you work out, exercise, or will exercise improve your condition or will make it more problematic because exercise is the act of controlled damage and recovery in target areas? Okay, so with my fibromyalgia being a skin problem and my connective tissue disease being a skin and connective tissue disease problem, working out is a good thing, but a little at a time. Easy does it. They recommend Tai Chi or yoga to people like me, so it's not like insane workouts. It's not like a normal person would work out. It's not lifting weights. However, you can, but it will hurt like hell the next day and for the next week, probably. If I would imagine it, the next week would probably end up hurting to the extent of feeling like I've been hit by a train and thrown off a bridge at the same time. I've worked out before like that, and I've felt like that. Uh, so it's honestly how much you do and how bad your fibromyalgia is on the gray scale to start with. I know that if I get injured, I end up sick because my body overreacts. So the controlled damage and recovery in targeted areas that you're talking about, that could trigger me to get sick. It couldn't. It's one of those things where it's a coin toss. You've been quiet. Just listening.
I'm better listening to the question answer.
Yeah.
I've been reading the comments too.
The people in the comments are always interesting. So God, that's God awful. It pretty much limits how much you can physically do, though it's actually good in a small doses, which begs the question. Tell me the question. I am waiting on the question. Dead silence. It's like everybody put on pause to wait for Snow to ask me this question. I think Matt's confused. Okay, so how does that kind of help or grant merits considering that it will hurt like being thrown into a totally stacked entourage the next day?
Just a little confused.
Okay, so basically, if I'm interpreting Snow's English abilities right, I think he's asking what kind of help would that be if I were to go overboard versus not? And in that case, if that is the question, I would have to say that it wouldn't hurt any less, but it wouldn't hurt any more, if that makes sense. You would What would happen would be you would still gain your muscle and you would still do everything like that as normal. See, I don't have a problem with gaining muscle or losing muscle, even though that is with kind of like the connective tissue, I think. I'm foggy brained right now. I'm guessing, but I would imagine with everything like that, that you would gain the muscle and still hurt just as bad the next time that you do it, but there would be no rest like you would if you would. I mean, it would get easier because you would build the muscle, but it wouldn't get easier in pain. You would still feel like it was the first day and you overworked yourself. Thank you, Viking. Yes, I do not have problems gaining muscle.
So my phone died while I was typing the question, but I have one.
Oh, okay.
Is there anything you would change since getting sick, or do you feel that everything that's happened has made you into the person you want to be today?
Okay. Would I change getting sick? I would have to say no because it's taught me a valuable life lesson. Pardon, I can't really talk today, apparently. Brain fog is clouding it. It has taught me such a good life lesson, and it has given me such a beautiful, um, really a beautiful way of wanting to share with everybody exactly what it's like. it's given me the guts to stand up for the people who can't, and to let everybody know that this taboo thing, it needs to be heard. So I would regret putting my family through everything that I have and scaring them with the way that my body has and me getting sick in the way that I have. And I wouldn't wish this what I have on my worst enemies, but I would have to say that I would still choose this road because it's taught me so many astonishing life lessons that you just can't appreciate otherwise. It's kind of like you don't miss something until it's gone. So I do apologize to alter the tone and beseech you in a more fitting attire and ask you a very important question elegantly if you desire such a manner of lip service. You only learn about the lands around you when you fall deep into plethora of soil and earthly bound materials that shower your continuum with the knowledge and wisdom that would only draw upon. Yes, no. 100%. Those who seek a greater quality in life. Yes. Yeah, Viking. What I'm saying is that you're going to come out stronger. You're going to come out mentally stronger. You're going to come out physically stronger. And you're going to come out more aware and more, I can't think of the word, brain fog. You're going to come out basically like a Viking. You're going to come out like a Viking. You're going to want to go conquer things at the end of it because you just feel that much more empowered to make a change. And if you're living your normal life, you're not going to want to make that change. You're going to be happy and content. And that's enough for most people. But if you walk down the road I have, and you've seen the pain I have, and you've been sick like I have, you're gonna come out stronger. There's no part of me that isn't stronger than the day that this hit. Emotionally, mentally, physically, you learn what is good for yourself and what isn't at that point, and you learn who's there for you and who isn't. So everybody who's close to you basically learns the difference in what is normal and what isn't, and you just try to be the best person that you can be and live with what you have and still not be confined forever, but live in a greater manner and get out, see the world, even though you are the way you are. So I'm going to take a couple more questions and then I am going to end the live stream. And you can question me personally through private message, or you can decide that you want to post it on the link. So, question 6. With the whole Trojan blood you described to me a few weeks ago, is there a possibility that other things could be lurking in your blood? Is it possible that other problems may arrive? Yes. Because my blood doesn't show and basically hides any sicknesses that I contain, I could have many other problems that aren't showing because my blood tests normal always. Now, this means that I'm still sick with it. It's just harder and it takes longer to diagnose. And there are other ways of testing that they have to do, more out of the norm ways. This is why cases like mine are so special and they're not just by the book. Pseudotumor usually happens to obese women in their 30s. I am neither. So if you look at me and then you look at the book definition of pseudotumor, you're sat there like, that can't be. And then they send me for a test, and it is. You know, there are just things that just are. And there could be other things lurking in my blood. Without warning, yeah, it's hard. They could hit me out of the blue. My mom has moya moya, and that is genetic. Though my blood doesn't really show that I'm sick, it might hide that as well. I do not know if I have moya moya. I do not know if I'll ever have moya moya, but we can all sit here and pray that I'll never get it. And that's the hope that I'm holding out for. Question 7. In the old photos of you shared with me the first time, late last month, you used to wear makeup, but nowadays it doesn't seem like you wear much. Wondering, does this make a difference? Makeup and hair dyes, etc., does it affect your illness or worsen them? No, it does not worsen them. I just never really wore like a lot of makeup. I wear eyeliner and mascara. Um, but other than that, I never really wear a lot of makeup. It's I never really have, to be fair. Um, yeah, but if I get moya moya, life does need to leave me alone. I've had enough. It's attacked me enough. But, you know, if I do get it, I will continue to raise awareness like I am now for my other things, and I will continue to fight with it. Yes, I am well aware many people have told me I don't need makeup. Because they told me this doesn't mean that I listen to them. Um, okay, guys, this isn't about me wearing makeup or dyeing my hair. It was a good question, though. Life has already done a number on you, but you still seem to be kicking life in the nuts. Yes, yes, Viking. I am kicking in the nuts and taking numbers. I am not stopping. I'll put it that way. So, um, Snow, Viking, Bode, any last questions? That was loud. You can't hear that.
How big is this?
It is. Yes, I do. Well, that's loud. Okay, one more and then Snow will stop. Take your time, Snow. Um, Everything you've asked is very valuable and credible, and I'm sure that everybody probably wanted to hear it. There's no really stupid question at this time to ask me because I'm sure that there are a whole bunch of people that want to know. I'm dumb and curious as always. Really want to know everything about everything. I swear I'm not a wizard chimera, but you told me a while ago you have to take the pills for birth control because it does something you need it to do or else you get messed up. Yes. Okay, so what Snow is referring to is PCOS and polycystic ovarian syndrome. I don't take birth control pills. I was on the depot shot at 15 to about 16, and then I went on the um, Nexplanon bar in my arm. It's about that big, and it gets changed every 3 years. Uh, why do I have to do this? I have to do this because I get cysts on my ovaries, and these cysts are so big they could strangulate my ovary. The last one I had was when I was 15, and it caused a lot of internal problems. It got to the size of a grapefruit, which is about that big. And your ovary is about. So, literally, with all this stuff, the birth control is to stop me from ovulating. If I stop ovulating, then the cyst will stop forming. That's the idea of it. So they tried it out. When they tried it out, they tried me on the birth control, and they realized that I only had a problem with cysts, but they would pop like they were supposed to. Then it was doing what it was supposed to do. See, every woman gets cysts, but when you have PCOS, your cysts don't pop. You have a hormone imbalance, and they kind of just grow. My mom had numerous cystectomies. My cyst was so big that it took 3/4 of my ovary with it. So that I have like a fourth or a half and one. So 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 of an ovary. Also, please do me a favor. Tell Matt he is before the stream ends that he is beautiful as fuck and that he should have more confidence in his perfection.
I agree with everything with the last part. Nobody's perfect.
I agree with that. Nobody is perfect. So, anybody else? Last questions? Snow said his last question. Yes, no, I did whip my head at him. Last questions. Bode, calling you out, son. Because if not, then I am just going to click the end stream button and go chill. Again, before this stream ends, I do want to say I say feet stink. They don't smell. That's the answer to your question. He said, if feet smell, why don't they have noses? And I said, well, they stink, they don't smell. Again, please make sure that you spread the word about things like this. My Crazy Life. It is difficult for me to think that there could be people out there alone. And I want to try to reach as many people as possible so that if they're feeling like they're alone and they have something like this, they can come to at least one person. And now that I know if somebody looks videos up for what they have and it's anything to do with any of my conditions, it's in tags. So they would know that they're not alone and it won't be radio silence anymore. There will be videos. And honestly, that's what I literally like the best about this is that now they're never going to know what I felt like when I saw there was radio silence. So, last questions. I did share this on my Facebook page. Um, so I probably, like I said, will be doing that. I will be doing that vlog about one day in my life, whichever I choose, coming up here shortly. And it will go through what a daily life is like for me when I wake up in the morning. And basically, like when I go downstairs and I let the dogs out, the boring stuff, but it'll make sense if I talk everything through. Matt had bangs and a long hair at one point.
I have a lot of hair.
He had a lot of hair. Not like a mane, but it was like the perfect swoosh. Yahweh. Yahweh, he did.
It looked good.
Matt did not appreciate himself back then, but he appreciates himself now. He is straight savage. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys go, and you can all message me in private if you'd like, if you have any other questions or concerns, or if you know somebody like me and they want to talk to me, it's okay for you to send them my way. I'd be more than willing to just be a friend to somebody who is going through something so they're not alone. So I hope that every single one of you have a good night and get some sleep. And I will see you guys later.